people are afraid of losing their jobs, but on the other hand, this intimidation and retaliation is having some real blowback, not just on the shop floor, but the rest of the labor movement. Seeing what Amazon's doing to us and wanting to help us fight back against it.
All right, I am here with Jordan Quinn, a member of the Amazon Labor Union's organizing committee at Amazon's Air Hub, KCVG, in Northern Kentucky, servicing Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, too, right?
Yep.
Jordan, welcome to the program. Thanks for taking time.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
How long have you been working at Amazon?
I've been working for Amazon for a little over a year now. I've been at KCVG for about 7 months.
Okay, where were you before KCVG?
I was at a fulfillment center, BFI4.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how long has the has this Amazon Labor Union campaign been active at KCVG?
So it all kind of started around this time last year. Amazon would offer what's called peak pay, which is a $2 an hour extra premium during peak season, to try and compensate us for the extra volume that we're pushing out. Last year, they refused to offer that, and a lot of coworkers were pretty upset. So they started a petition. Over 400 coworkers signed it, but a lot of people drew the conclusion that to actually win the $2 an hour peak pay and more, we really needed a union. So over the winter of 2022, 2023, we're starting to build a campaign, built an organizing committee, got more coworkers involved, and then officially started card collection in March of this year. So a little over a year, but card collection about 9 months or so.
That's great. And really excited. I've been following your campaign on Twitter and been really excited about what y'all have been doing over there. Seems like y'all are really well put together, know what you're doing, and really like seeing that. What are some of the things that, you mentioned that maintaining peak pay was something that kind of has been animating a lot of the organizing efforts. What are some of the demands that y'all have in your campaign that you'd be looking for in, say, a first contract?
We're fighting for $30 an hour starting pay for all associates at KCVG. We want 180 hours of paid time off each year, which would be about 4.5 weeks. We want union representation at disciplinary meetings, because oftentimes you'll get dragged into some HR investigation, or your manager's going to write you up, and if they don't explain clearly what the rules are, even their own written policies are decided on a case-by-case basis. So having a shop steward in your corner, having some union rep there who can walk through, what's allowed in the contract, what's not, that would be a huge help for coworkers. We've also got a lot of immigrant coworkers who speak English as a second language. So we've been fighting for professional translation services, for workplace communications, and free on-site English classes for folks who want to improve their English, as well as free on-site childcare, so working families can afford to go to work and not have to pay a second rent for daycare.
Yeah, absolutely. That all sounds really great. And since Amazon is such a good company, one of their spokespeople said they're the Bernie Sanders of companies. They're all respecting your right to organize and listening to you and all of that kind of stuff respectfully, is right?
No, I don't think it would be a
What?
surprise for no, it's not all hunky dory at
Mm.
Jeffrey Bezos's biggest air hub in the world. In fact, we've been facing quite a bit of management pressure in the last few months. Actually, last month we on election day we printed out a big check, and we put it on top on our union tables outside of the entrance to the building, and the check we throw it out to our billionaire executives and union busters, and it had the $10 billion in profits that workers made this company in the last 3 months. And we were asking coworkers where they think those profits should go. We had a big easel with a whiteboard with a bunch of our different demands on there, and people could put a sticker up on what was the most important thing for them to fight for. And this was the same week that the VP of Amazon Air was out there walking the floor. So management was pretty upset with us. They started coming out and badge challenging us, where they asked to see our side of badge 6-7 times in a couple hours. They were threatening us with write-ups, saying that we had to take down our table because it was a safety hazard. Well, when we explained to them that it wasn't a safety hazard, that management sets up a bunch of tables in the breezeway right in front of the doors, and that's not a problem, then how's our table an issue? They came back and said that it was an unauthorized structure instead. So we asked them, how do we get it authorized? And surprisingly, no one had that information on hand at HR or from the management office. So in the last couple of weeks now, they've been putting up a bunch of signs around saying that the union is an outside third party, saying that you could win more, the same, or less in benefits with the union. And they brought in a bunch of millionaire lawyers who they've dressed up as managers and employee relations operatives to go walk the floor and lead captive audience meetings, spreading lies about our union. So no, they're not being neutral. They're not accepting our rights to organize a union at all.
Yeah, that is a shame, but it's not surprising. And they've actually, been escalating in the last couple of weeks, and they've issued final written warnings for at least 11 people at this time. I don't think that there's been any firings yet. But how did those written warnings come about, and what's the status of those? I know that your organizing committee is pushing to have those written warnings rescinded. What's the status of that?
Yeah. So because of the unauthorized structure that we had set up, asking coworkers where they think the profit should go, we told them that they were violating our Section 7 rights under the National Labor Relations Act, and we refused to take down our tables. So they came back a few weeks later, sat us down in interrogation meetings with HR. Some of us were in there for about an hour, where they would ask us the same questions over and over again. And the result of those investigations were me and 10 other coworkers getting final written warnings over insubordination. Because what Amazon wants is subordinate workers, not workers who stand up for themselves and stand up for each other.
Right.
So we're using every tool available to fight back and defend our jobs, because we have legal rights to be able to form a union, to talk to our coworkers, and have a union materials out there. So we've been going through what's called Amazon's appeals process, and I don't have any I don't have any hopes that the appeals process is going to be any more transparent or just than the rest of their union busting methods. So we've also filed unfair labor practice charges with the National Labor Relations Board for these retaliatory write-ups, and we've also led marches on the boss in the last couple of weeks, where we go into the manager's office, us and about 30 other coworkers, and the first time that we did it, we talked to the general manager, and he said that he wanted to talk to us one-on-one, individually, to hear our unique individual concerns, is how they put it. And he said that we can't have collective concerns together, despite the fact that we all came together because we all got the same concerns. The last March on the Boss that we had, I think they got coached by corporate or by some professional union busters, because somehow they were all busy in a meeting, everyone in senior site leadership. They were stonewalling us, refused to even hear our voices. So we were offering them a final written warning of our own, putting them on notice for the illegal union busting and retaliation that they've been dishing out our way. Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of support since then. We've gotten millions of views on TikTok from those videos. We've been having donations just pour in left and right. I've been having more people reach out to us from other unions expressing their solidarity and wanting to pass their own resolutions in support of our campaign and donating to our campaign. So in a certain respect, people are afraid of losing their jobs. But on the other hand, this intimidation and retaliation is having some real blowback, not just on the shop floor, but among the rest of the labor movement. We're seeing what Amazon's doing to us and wanting to help us fight back against it.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
Right. And one of those TikToks that has racked up a lot of views was a TikTok where y'all had asked the company for coats. Can you explain that situation to the audience?
Yeah. So we're an air facility, which means that a lot of the freight that we process is coming off and going on to flights. We also have outbound and inbound dock for ground transport, and both on the ramp and on the dock, there's no real weather control, and it's been freezing cold a lot of these days. Ramp workers are provided with coats and waders and hats to help keep them warm while they're out there. Workers on the ground dock are not provided that same PPE. So people are trying to work out there in 15, 20-degree weather and freezing their asses off. So when a couple of coworkers said, "Hey, we know that you provide big puffy jackets that are high vis for ramp associates. Can we get some?" They were told that they could get hot hands instead, some of those hand warmers, and to just wear their own jackets with their vest over it, so that way it would be visible in case of any traffic.
I'll let you finish here, but I don't really go hunting anymore. But when I was a kid, I went with my uncle a few times, and the hot hands they're pretty nice, but they're typically inside of a lot of coats. That's how I used them, right?
Yeah.
I had a big coat.
It's no replacement for proper insulation.
Right. I mean, like just your bare hands, and then even gloves without a jacket with hot hands inside them. That's not adequate, especially in the temperatures that y'all were facing. I mean, y'all were in temperatures that hypothermia could set in, but they said we're not going to give you coats because it's not below freezing yet. It doesn't have to be freezing for you to get hypothermia.
Exactly. And it's incredibly frustrating considering the amount of money this company makes, that they spend on stock buybacks, that Jeff Bezos can spend on his next mega yacht or his next 10-minute space vacation. But when workers who are doing the work that actually makes this company run ask for some protection from the elements, we're met with, "Oh no, we can't do that."
Right. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so you mentioned that y'all have been having a lot of people reach out to sign cards. So what has the employee response to this campaign and even kind of the broader moment that we are in been inside of KCVG?
We've gotten a lot of support. We've got over 1,000 coworkers who signed up for the union so far, and more people are getting involved every day. It's one of the reasons why management is so scared of our campaign and why they're bringing in all these professional union busters and putting up all this anti-union material around the facility to try and scare people away from joining the union.
Right.
I think, that week that first week where we were out there with our big, $10 billion in profits banner, was one of the best weeks that we had of a card collection. Not just because of the message that we were putting forward, but because coworkers were seeing management start to crack down on their pro-union coworkers, and we're saying, hey, that's messed up. I want to have my
Right.
coworkers' backs. I'm going to sign up for the union. And I think, just with the rest of the stuff that's going on in the labor movement, like this year, I think has seen one of the highest numbers, one of the highest strike years on record since the 1980s. And right now, actually, at the DHL World Hub at CVG, just across the street from our facility, the workers there are trying to form a union with the Teamsters. They're out on strike right now. We've made stops by their picket lines every day in the last since they went out. I think that was a day or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, all the DHL workers I've been talking to are like, "Yep, we know about your campaign. We absolutely have your back. Solidarity." And I think too, when the UAW workers won their contract, that's something that we've all been talking to coworkers about.
Right.
Because part of our perspective is that Amazon is such a brutal anti-union corporation that they will refuse to come to the bargaining table unless we force them.
Right.
So in our view, it's going to take a really serious strike, even just to get Amazon to start talking to us. And coworkers are worried about what a
Mm-hmm.
strike would look like for them and their families. When the UAW won back pay for striking workers, when they won a wage increase for their parts distribution center employees of up to $30 an hour starting, that was a huge boost in confidence. Because if they
Right.
can do it, a lot of coworkers were seeing, well, we could do it here too. Amazon's one of the most profitable corporations in the world.
Right. Absolutely. And you mentioned the DHL strike as part of the those folks being supportive as part of the community response, and it's about 1,100 DHL workers that recently unionized with the Teamsters. They are striking for a fair first contract, is my understanding, and so that's great to hear that y'all are in communication with one another. And there was almost a UPS strike actually in your area, and UPS backed down, and they rehired people that they had fired because the Teamsters said we'll go on strike if you don't hire them back, and that was a really really cool thing to see, I think. And was that a big enough story that it penetrated into your your workplace, and your coworkers were able to see that wow, the Teamsters were able to get these people their jobs back because they threatened to strike. They didn't even have to strike. They just had to threaten it, and they got their jobs back. Is that really kind of set in with your coworkers?
Um, that hasn't been as much of a feature of the discussions that we've been having. I haven't heard that much from coworkers about it, unfortunately. But I think it shows that when you're organized, in your workplace, when you have a union to help defend you and your coworkers, then it can only take just the threat of lifting your finger to
Right.
stop their profits that can force them to actually, bring back people who've been unjustly fired. And I think, that's also an important lesson. I think for our campaign too. With us facing these final written warnings, Amazon's trying to put us on notice. They're trying to scare us into backing down, which we're not going to. But it means that there's a real threat that they could try and fire some pro-union workers.
Right.
But the only way that we can defend ourselves is by sticking together, having each other's backs, and taking collective action. I think the other thing on that too is that, Amazon has a whole litany of policies that coworkers don't even know about.
Mm.
They can write you up and fire you whenever they want for whatever reason. If they want to let you go, they absolutely will.
Right.
So the way that you fight back against that isn't by running away from the union because you're worried about getting fired for your manager knowing that you're a union supporter. Actually, you have a lot more protection when you stick with
Mm.
your coworkers because it's us who do all the work that makes this company money. And that's ultimately what they're most concerned with is their profits and their power. That's why they don't want to pay us $30 an hour, give us 180 hours of PTO each year too.
Right. Right. So, Jordan, if one of your coworkers finds this and they are interested in signing an authorization card, where would they need to go?
Yeah. So they can go to our website, which is I think it's unionized Amazon KCVG dot org. You can also find one of us with these union vests on the floor. Ask us for an authorization card. We've also got QR codes on our trifolds and our leaflets. You can scan with your phone in case you're worried about a manager seeing you outside signing a card. You can sign it at home later on.
And what about if I'm an Amazon worker outside of your facility? This is going to be on the radio in Huntsville, Alabama. We have an Amazon facility here. What if one of them hear it and they say that they're interested in starting an organizing committee in their facility? What do they need to do?
Yeah, you should definitely reach out to us. We're, I think, Unionized Amazon Northern Kentucky on Facebook. Amazon Union KCVG on Twitter and Instagram. Just send us a direct message. We're more than happy to get in touch. You can send us an email at kcvgworkers@gmail.com. Because I think ultimately, if we're able to organize at Amazon's biggest air hub here in the world, then I think that can have an electrifying effect around the country. That's what we saw what happened after the JFK 8 workers when their union election. That was a big inspiration for us and for other workers at different facilities. I think ultimately it's not just KCVG workers that deserve a union, it's all Amazon workers. That's one way that we can start to, rebuild a fighting labor movement to build the power of the working class on the shop floor. It's the first step. So yeah, if you're interested in working together, we absolutely want to work with every single Amazon worker who wants to fight back and win us the things that we deserve.
Jordan Quinn, member of the Amazon Labor Union's KCVG Organizing Committee in Northern Kentucky. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.